All adventures start with a dream. What can we do with a dream? Where will the dream take us? What will we do when we get there? When given an opportunity to fulfill a dream, you just have to go for it. But dreams take work, and dreams require tenacity. How can we take this boat and mold it into an expedition dream machine? How can we make this boat something special, a vehicle that can literally take us anywhere on the planet? Where to start and where to begin, and how do we make this boat an extension of an environmental ethos? The boat has already fulfilled dreams from Antarctica to the Arctic and back again. What can we create with a blank slate? How can we turn that dream into a reality? Let's reimagine what a sailboat can do and improve this expedition-worthy, high-latitude capable sailboat. Hakluyt has already been to both polar extremes. In 2007, she sailed from Belgium to Antarctica and deep into the Gerlach Strait, and further below the Antarctic Circle. From 2011 to 2014, she sailed multiple times to the Arctic and above the Arctic Circle. She is a proven vessel designed for high-latitude sailing. Join us on this journey where we take this incredible sailboat and refit her with environmentally friendly components and materials. Join us and allow us to show you the refit process to a wintertime launching and sailing adventures in the North Atlantic. Join us on this great experiment of what you can do with renewable energy. From wind energy to solar energy to thermoelectrical and regenerative hydro energy as we take Hakluyt on adventures around the world, searching for those last remaining remote and isolated corners. The first priority was to remove the perfectly good 110 horsepower Yanmar diesel engine, diesel fuel tanks, and the remaining diesel equipment. This allows us to better remove our reliance on fossil fuels and make the interior of the boat a healthier place to live without the constant smell of diesel residue, the smell which is often found in small to medium-sized sailboats. The diesel engine was replaced with a pair of Oceanvolt 15 kilowatt motors. Twin motors with twin screws, as they say, give Hakluyt greater maneuverability and the advantage of hydro-regenerative power generated from both props while under sail. Electric motors are still a bit experimental, and definitely an experiment for a sailboat seeking remote destinations. So let's begin the journey. Outside it's blowing sideways, snow, and about 30-40 mile per hour winds at their highest gusts. Today I'm going to be hopefully figuring out how to get this big huge diesel tank out of here that I'm kind of standing on. It's about a 300-liter diesel tank, and yeah, we'll see how well that comes out. I think it'll come out the companionway okay. It's just a matter of getting a few other things out of the way before we pull this out. So when we first got in here this winter, the boat really reeked of diesel, and of course now the diesel motor is gone. That used to be where the diesel tank sat. Now it's holding our shop towels and trash and water and other junk, and the other diesel tank is down in here. So those are all gone, as with the Raycor filters and all the diesel lines, but there's still remnants of diesel spill and oil and some other nastiness that's being soaked up right now. But man, what a difference. Getting this stuff out of here makes a huge difference in the way the boat smells. I still have a long ways to go to get all of the nastiness and grime out of here, but it's 100% better getting all this cleaned out. So it makes the effort worthwhile, even though the effort is taking forever and it's arduous and it's really freaking disgusting. It's paying off already. So hopefully by the end of all this, and when we go in the water, we have zero, absolutely zero smell of diesel, and that'll be a huge win, and no fumes, and a much safer living environment for all of us on board. So before, that was all our settee, and the floor, the brown floor there that you see there, was elevated above the keel box, centerboard trunk, and I just kind of put it there temporarily to have some space to stand on, put things, etc. Kind of one of the major challenges of a project like this is, especially when you're tearing out a bunch of stuff, is where do you put everything? And I've got a massive garbage heap outside the boat. I'm trying to reclaim and recover as much of it as I can, but you know, it's been a challenge here in Newfoundland because it's been so wet and so rainy that keeping the wood dry and everything has been a bit of a nightmare. But in any event, this is where the old galley used to be, the old stove, and back here used to be the kitchen, kind of tucked back underneath the cockpit well. And that's back there is kind of where the new motors are going to go. I'll step forward to through where the old diesel engine used to be. And there's one of the prefabricated plates for the new Oceanvolt motors. It's kind of, the new motor is going to kind of go right about there, but maybe a little bit more to the outside of the boat, to the left of the picture frame there. And then you see one of the big flakes of rusted out steel that we'll have to investigate how that's going to be best managed. It came from a section back up in there. There weren't any good drains for water when they welded this. It was built in a professional shipyard in France, but unfortunately things like, let's see if there's enough light, but things like this guy here is welded all the way across and there's no place for the water to drain, so the water would just collect back up in here. Good news is that's right about where the water line is. It's not super far below the water line, so hopefully that'll be taken care of with a little patch. The old exhaust pipe will be coming out here, and over here is the port cabin that we'll leave mostly intact. It'll have to come out for building or installing the new motor, but it'll go back in fairly easy. And this area here will become more of a pilot berth storage area. We're going to open all this up, so it'll feel a lot bigger. You can see there's this wall with the handrails here. Normally these stairs here would go right here, and there were handrails getting up, but we're going to end up removing this wall in a similar fashion to the wall that was here. That kind of really opens things up. Probably hard to tell from this perspective, but kind of blocked from view there. Kind of blocks out the light from that other port light window over here. But yeah, you can see it's kind of a challenge finding a place to put everything, including the miles and cubic yards of trash that comes out of a 30-year-old steel boat. So the next plan of action for today is going to be taking off this whole area, or this board here, so I can access this whole area of the bilge. I know it's kind of hard to see right now, and even though it might not look like it, you know, I did clean up this bilge area, so this whole forward section, or middle section I guess I should say, has already been washed and de-oiled and de-dieseled and de-grimed. I got some work to do way back in there. Get all that cleaned up later. I just ended up getting out that wall last night, so I got to cut that wall because it won't come out the standard port. It was built before they put the deck on apparently, so I got to cut that guy in half and be able to get it out of here. But that's where the pantry is going to go essentially. It's back where that wall is, and then all of this will be kitchen counter, galley counter, stove, fridge, sink, etc. And then here, this area will be where the new eco stove will go, and it goes up to that pipe right there. That's the exhaust or the chimney to go outside. And yeah, well, quite a bit ahead. But all the new batteries are going to go sit. This is all concrete, by the way. This is lead encased by concrete. I guess that's fairly common in steel boats. Not sure why, but I've seen a couple of them now. I was kind of shocked the first time I saw that. That people would actually use concrete against steel, knowing that it would give the steel a chance to rust as the concrete setup, but apparently that's de rigueur. That's how they did it. So we'll keep the battery weight. You know, the lithium iron phosphate batteries are much lighter than a standard lead acid battery, but they'll help keep the main weight of our new power system in the center of the boat, which will be nice. And then water tanks will likely fit back up in here, maybe a couple over towards the sides, lateral sides, etc. And that's pretty much all we'll need to deal with in the bilge. I really want to make it so that the bilge area is inspectable, so that I can see what's going on in all areas of the bilge, especially areas that I'll make notes of that have a fair amount of scaling and corrosion, so that I can always get to those and inspect them and see what's happening. In any event, welcome to my nightmare. Pretty soon it'll be a dream. We'll move forward. And somewhere by one of my stanchions or my gates, it looks like there's some water that's getting through, or leaking through or something to that effect. And so I'm gonna work on trying to track that down, and what that meant was I ended up having to tear out a bunch of perfectly good shelves, which really sucks. But so anyway, we'll show you where the panel is. So basically what we're looking at is behind here. So that's where the shelves were. And behind this panel here, somewhere in here, and you can kind of see this screw is really rusted out in comparison to some of the other ones. I get a pretty consistent drip down here in the bilge, and it might be hard to see, but right here is a little rivulet of water coming in. So got to try and track that down, and it's back behind that panel there somewhere. Probably gonna end up taking out that panel and that panel there too. And these two lower panels, re-insulating them. That doesn't take too much time, just a little bit more work in the whole process. Have to take out this little ceiling panel here probably, and the foam behind that, and we'll just clean and tidy it up and put it back together. Alright, so what we got is a bit of a mess, to be expected, but this is just a puddle of water here and a little puddle of water here, and it all kind of trickles down, somehow ends up making its way over here. The challenge is finding where this comes from. So it's possible that it comes in from this side, and that would be my suspicion, but since there's more water here, I'm definitely got some concern. So this is the easiest wall to tear out here, so and I was going to tear it out anyway, so we'll just continue on and tear that out, and then we'll probably end up tearing out all of that as well, and then just make it one big long run of tear out that we have to replace later here. Tearing out the main cabin of Hakluyt here in preparation for the new electric motors and lithium iron phosphate batteries, new galley, new settee, new nav station, and a new pilot berth. So we had previously torn out a bunch of that, but now I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a perspective of what this project entails. I kind of knew it was going to be an involved project, so we'll be taking out all the old copper wiring, replacing it with marine tinned wiring, putting in a whole bunch of new electronics for charge controls, etc. That's all on the website, kind of describing that. But then we're gonna be putting in new cockpit soles, floors, the new galley, as I mentioned. We'll be rebuilding the settee, and building out the starboard pilot berth and storage area. So in the meantime, since the last time I recorded anything, I got a lot torn out. One of the other nightmares of digging into a vessel that's been here, or was built 30 years ago or so, is the nightmare of wiring. And I just thought I'd give a little demonstration. This was all the battery cable that was run, which was actually welder's cable. But then everything kind of went back up into this rat's nest here. And I totally get it, after several owners, at least 3, if not 4, maybe 5, people add stuff, people subtract stuff, and you end up with a variety of abandoned wires and wires that just get, zip tied together and cobbled together so that you can just get things working, because obviously other people wanted to be out on the water too. But I can tell what was newer. We get some actual marine wire here, as opposed to this stuff that's just sort of like, it all says Pirelli, so I know this is original stuff that came from Europe that was put in the boat, and it was kind of embedded into the ceilings and stuff, and the bow thruster and the windlass power cables here, all kind of run along. So all that's got to be replaced and taken out, and that's one of several nightmares that you get to deal with when you deal with an old boat. But then another nightmare is figuring out what to do with all this. And in the middle of all this is a nasty sludge of 30 years of God knows what. Grime, oil, diesel, salt water, all that kind of stuff. So all that's got to be taken out, cleaned up, scraped, resealed with some rust preventer, and repainted with some bilge coat. So one of the cool things I discovered with our battery cable, I thought it was all just welder's cable that was like copper cable or whatever from, I don't know, some European supplier when the boat was originally built in France. But as it turns out, it looks like we actually might have scored somewhere in this pile here. There we have it. So we do have marine grade tinned battery cable, so this will save us quite a bit of money. This is really expensive stuff, especially at these gauges, and so I'll need this stuff to connect up the new lithium iron phosphate batteries for the electric motors. So yeah, that's huge. It's a big win. Hoping it's all like that. I'm assuming it is. It all has the same markings and the same model numbers and stuff like that. So we should be in good shape. Yeah, so next on the agenda here is to start cleaning out that other bilge, the port side bilge, about the center of the boat. But man, everything is just so dirty. All the cables ran through the bilge, the big power cables for the bow thruster and the windlass and a bunch of the forward compartment lights and fans and pumps and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do kind of a quick wash and clean of these cables, because I'm definitely going to be able to reuse them now that I know that they're marinized or they're tinned, and they won't corrode as easily as just a straight up copper wire. And then I'm going to move to cleaning out that bilge. So yeah, as I mentioned before, or I may have mentioned, keeping organized in a torn out space with all the tools and trying to stay warm here in Lewisport, Newfoundland during the tail end of winter, what should be spring, has been quite a challenge. So yeah, it's kind of like a massive jigsaw puzzle trying to keep stuff organized in here and moving stuff around and making sure that I don't lose tools and remember where I put things, and that's always a really challenging aspect. But yeah, we're going to tackle this part next and start cleaning up these cables here and kind of washing them, pre-washing them, getting them at least somewhat decent. And again, all this kind of contributes to getting rid of that diesel smell, old boat funk smell, etc., so that it's going to be clean and healthy. Then we'll take this board off here and then start cleaning out that nastiness down there.